Welcome to the Helicopter Podcast, your go-to source for all things rotorcraft. I'm Halsey Schider, bringing you the stories, insights, and conversations from around the helicopter industry. Whether you're a seasoned pilot, a maintainer, or you're just passionate about helicopters, this is the podcast for you.
It's time for your Heli Life giveaway buzzword. Listen up and remember this word because you'll need it to enter for a chance to win exclusive Heli Life gear. Ready? This episode's buzzword is attitude. Visit contest.vertical.helicast.com to enter the buzzword.
What's up, guys? It's Halsey Schider with the Helicopter Podcast, and I am coming at you all live. Well, not really live, but live from the show floor here in Cologne, Germany. This is podcast 1. It's a very long show, but I'm so excited to have you both here. Joining me is Jop. Did I do it?
Yeah, you managed to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, well done.
My least favorite part about doing podcasts is names.
Yeah, don't bother with my last name. That's not going to work.
Because I'm always like, names are so important, right? Yeah. So we have Jop and Janine with me.
Yeah.
From Pilots Who Ask Why.
That's right.
You guys are writing amazing articles. You've been collaborating now with MHM, Vertical. And you guys are doing some really special things and great things for the industry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm just so excited and honored to have you guys as my first podcast here.
Well, we're the same. Thank you very much for having us.
This is crazy. This is your first podcast ever?
First ever.
Yeah, it's definitely new to us.
Yeah, you're breaking us in. We've been asked to do a few, but we're actually quite introverted with some things. So
we've done a lot of writing, not a lot of speaking.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because it's different, right? When you're writing, you're able to take time, you can edit, you can review, and then edit more.
Yeah.
And the podcast, you can maybe edit a little bit, but by and large, it's very open. But I think that's really the cool thing. And I think that it's important to be able to have these types of conversations with people like you guys, because you guys are doing really neat and cool things, and I think positive things for the industry. And so I think by you guys coming out here and putting yourselves out there, I think it's good for the industry, so I really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
And that kind of leads me in Pilots Who Ask Why. I mean, even doing that is putting yourself
in
the industry, right?
Yeah.
And that's interesting because when you do things like that, you then set yourself up for other conversations. Yeah. Now, I think by and large, you guys get very positive, great feedback, but it's still your willingness to put yourself out there is a big step. So just tell me a little bit about Pilots Who Ask Why, and how did that all happen? Yeah. Whose decision was it? Was it a mutual thing? I just want to kind of hear the origin.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, I mean, both me and Janine, we ask a lot of questions naturally. Like, that comes quite natural to us. We're quite inquisitive, aren't we? Sometimes to the point of we ask questions and we don't always get an answer that we're like, that's what it is. So I at work, but also Janine at work, I used to fly air ambulance, and I had loads and loads of questions when I came into the industry, and there were so many lovely people around me, but not always was there a clear-cut answer to this is what it is. And it kind of sort of inspired me to be like, okay, well, I know I'm asking a lot of questions, sometimes too many. But at the same time, I noticed that a lot of people engage with me, and also Janine, about, have you maybe looked at this already, or do you maybe know what this is? So we sort of decided to start a website, and I already was running a blog where I documented my journey as a helicopter pilot, just from A to Z, from student, PPL, CPL, the whole thing, just because I had people asking me, what is it like? How does this work? How do I get that done? And that sort of transformed slowly to writing more and more about not necessarily the journey, but about things that people wanted to know. And we thought it would be great to make it like a community almost it is now. It's grown over the years to the scale we never thought was possible. And we just covered the topics that we think, but also get told by other people. What's this about? Why is this never talked about? And we just take up all the topics as we go on, and we don't run out, don't we? Do we? Like we just there's always something to talk about. And the main aim is to make it as easy and simple as possible, because it's easy to open up a textbook and read all sorts of boring things about, aerodynamics and everything else.
Lots of boring things.
And sometimes also we've noticed that when we try and find answers to stuff, the first source you find is some dusty old page from the 1960s talking about something that's just not very nice to consume as someone wanting to learn. So that's what we try to change.
And I think that's actually kind of a hurdle for a lot of people, right? I don't know how it is here in Europe, but I talk to a lot of folks that are interested in learning how to fly. And it's always like, I need to be really good at math.
Yeah.
Or I need this, or I need that. And yeah, you need to kind of understand some of those factors. But honestly, I feel like as a pilot, you know a lot of things, but not a ton about each thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I might know a little bit more about weather than,
Yeah.
say, the common person, but I'm not a meteorologist. I know
Absolutely.
a little bit about physics, kind of, but I'm not a physicist. And that's kind of an interesting part because it can actually be very intimidating.
Yeah.
And so I think when you guys write articles, recently I read the article on auto rotations, right?
Ah.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you guys did a great job at really making it more consumable.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Not
yeah.
good. That's the plan.
Like
yeah.
making it to where you can read it, and it's a good read.
Yeah, good.
That's important, right? And also just kind of understanding that a little bit. So, Janine, tell me just a little bit about your background.
Okay.
And, where you kind of fit into this. Mike just told me actually that this is a second career. Is that
Yes,
is that
I career
correct?
changed. Yeah.
So let's start there because I'm really fascinated to hear about that and how you decided to then come into
Jump
helicopters.
this. Yeah. So I have a very different story to Jop. So I never really had a vision of what my career and my future was. So I kind of went to uni, found a job, got a job, did that for a while. But every day I was a bit like, I just wasn't. I think most people say it was a good job. It was okay. I was a project manager for a long time. But I didn't wake up like driven and excited. I was like, is this what I'm doing with my life? So I spent about a year, this is quite sad. At the end of every day I had a spreadsheet and I asked myself 3 questions every day.
Okay.
I asked myself, what did I enjoy that day? What did I thought I was good at? And what was I looking forward to? And I just compiled this data for about a year. And then at the end of it, I looked at it. I thought, and I spoke to a few people. And they said, you ought to look at maybe like flying or something. And I was like, all right. And at the same time, going through this process of what do I want to do in my life, somebody said, Janine, when you find the perfect house, when you find the one, when you find the right job, you just know. Mm-hmm. And then at the time I thought, what use is that? How do I know that?
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, going through this process, I then went off to a flight school and I sat in a little Cadbury G2.
Okay.
I did a trial lesson. And I lifted up, went for a flight, and I was like, oh my word, this is exactly what that chap meant when he said, you know. And then from that moment I thought, okay, I'm going to find a way to fly helicopters. And here I am.
There you are.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
how long ago was that?
So that was 2016 I did my PPL.
Yeah.
So
Coming up on 9
yeah,
years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible, and I think it's actually it's an important fact, and it's something that we sometimes hear on the podcast. Unlike me, and I'm guessing maybe your story is maybe more similar to me, I was just a little kid I knew. Like, it was never a question.
Yeah, same
now,
for me, yeah.
helicopters I kind of slipped into. Helicopters wasn't really the path.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, the demo flights, like you did in the
Yeah.
Cadbury, I did mine in R22.
Oh, no.
That's a lethal
Gimme.
tool
Yeah, it is.
for a flight. I mean, oh my goodness. That's like hook, line, and
that's it.
sinker. But it's really incredible because I think that there's a lot of people, and I'm guessing in Europe is fairly the same. We're raised to be comfortable,
Yeah.
right? Get a good job, go to college,
Exactly that.
get married,
Yep.
have the white picket fence. We call it the American dream,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And man, I look at so many people and they're miserable. There's so many people, and I think
Yeah.
that's actually, we see a lot of not great things in the world. I think it's on the back of people not being happy because they're doing the same doldrum thing. And I think it's really admirable when someone decides to kind of take that leap, right? Because it's scary. I'm guessing you were having
huge.
a nice salary.
Yeah.
Now you're going to go to flight school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. You may have to take on some debt to do flight school. I mean, it's
absolutely.
a big
It's scary.
decision.
But it's interesting you saying that because when I was going through this process, there was a lot of people saying, are you out of your mind? You've got a good salary, you've got a mortgage to pay. But there was a group of people who I didn't really, know that much about, but they were like, do you know my dream? And they'd tell me their dream and these plans they have. And I thought, oh my God. But like you said, people, it is scary and you have to take a risk and it is brave to do. But it is, well, from my perspective, it is worth doing it. But you are right. finding it.
Yeah.
You two are lucky that you had it early.
I know, I feel
I was
lucky.
so jealous of people like you that were just like, this is what I'm doing. So finding it, I feel so lucky about, and then making it.
We have talked before about the benefits, though, of doing it Janine's way instead of our way, because, I was very lucky. My dad kind of got me into aviation, and from the beginning, I felt very supported and everything else, and it was just sort of like, very streamlined way of doing it, and all very straightforward. But actually, doing it Janine's way, where you do a different career before getting into helicopters, it's got you at places where you wouldn't have been otherwise as well.
That's true,
when it comes to your skills, differing with people like myself,
100%.
or it's a different skill set you develop when you change careers and you do this active sort of, you're later in your life in a different stage of life. Making that jump is probably a lot more scary as well. But also, Janine has got skills that I certainly don't have when it comes to 10 years of project managing experience.
Yeah, of course. And it's important to be well-rounded and bring that back in. I think for me, the best thing was learning at 18. And the worst thing was learning at 18. Right?
That's it.
In fact, if you roam the halls here, stop at Hillsborough Heli Academy.
Okay.
That's where I went to flight school.
Okay.
Jarrett,
Nice.
who's there still, he's the president. He hired me as a flight instructor, but he can tell you some horrific stories.
Okay, we'll go
about
there.
18-year-old Halsey. My priorities were not quite the straight and narrow. School. I thought I'm going to helicopter school. How fun, right?
Yeah.
And then, like we talked about, then you're opening these textbooks and you're like,
what's this?
retreating blades, so dissymmetry of lift, translational lift. What is all this? And it was a struggle for me. And I've always thought, okay, if I was a little bit older and a little bit more seasoned, maybe going through school would have been a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was very challenging because I just didn't have the maturity. And so we talk about that on the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast and you're like younger and getting into it, it's great. But you have to, it's a lot, right? It's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Discipline,
Such a
hard
jump.
work.
And it's a lot of responsibility. I look back and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I was teaching people CFI training and doing fold downs in an R22 at 20 years old.
It is crazy.
Right? I couldn't even drink beer legally. And I'm doing what?
Falling out of the sky.
It keeps me up sometimes when I'm laying in bed. I can't believe I did that. So it's wild. I see both sides. And I think that it's kind of a, there's no perfect way, right? But what I appreciate about how you did it is that you chose to go and be happy.
That's why I think
that's the key point.
Yeah.
And I think we're just conditioned, man, just to, hey, just do the normal thing and do this and do that. For me, my decision point was I was a full-time helicopter pilot, I think, for 15, 16 years. And I love flying helicopters, right? That first time that you pick up the G2 is similar to mine in the R22, and that never gets old. Lifting a helicopter off the ground is the most amazing experience, and I chose to kind of walk away from that doing it full time. I saw an opportunity for me to go and sell helicopters, use my helicopter knowledge and my kind of entrepreneurial spirit, but it was scary. It's a big change. It's a big leap.
Yep.
And so I think it's important that you have to kind of trust your gut sometimes
Yeah.
and know that if you work hard, and you can surround yourself with positive people as well, then hopefully, good things can come of your decisions. And it usually seems like it does.
I think so.
Did you have to, when you decided to get into helicopters, was it like a big move when it comes to like geographics as well? Did you have to?
No, so I was very lucky. So I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And right outside of Portland is Hillsborough.
Oh, yeah, nice.
And so I thought my life was going to take me into airplanes. In fact, I wanted to fly jets. I wanted to be a Navy pilot.
Okay, yeah.
I watched Top Gun probably every day for seriously, from like age 8 to 18 every day. Like that was what I wanted to do. And so I did do 1 year of college, and I was doing the ROTC program at that time. And it's a numbers game in the United States, right? So I was awarded a scholarship, but it was going to be on a ground contract with the military.
Yep.
And they were saying like, oh, but you can maybe get it changed, and and I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm talking to other people, and they're like, when the military says that you can do it, they don't always mean, right? And so I made the hard decision at that time to kind of put that dream to the side.
Okay.
I wanted to come home and kind of regroup and figure out exactly what I wanted to do because I didn't like college. I'm not a book guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair enough.
It's just not for me. I can't sit in a class. I want to be like a on-the-job training type of person. And I had been flying airplanes, and a sad part about flying airplanes is, no offense, airplane people, is even early on, I remember, I think I was like 16 at the time, so this is even before I went to college for the year. I'm flying solo in a 152, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, I'm bored.
Okay,
like, man, this is kind of boring. I was on a cross-country flight, and I'm like, ugh, and I heard a helicopter on the radio, this guy. And I thought, man, I bet he's not boring. Or bored.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it. And then for my birthday, my parents got me a demo flight when I came back from that year of college.
Yeah.
And I did just like you. I got in the helicopter, hook, line, and sinker. And, here we are today. And it's pretty cool, right? It's fun to look back and see where your decisions take you.
Yeah.
Now I'm here. I get to podcast. I get to connect with really cool people like you guys. And so it's just fun. And you just have to be open and flexible, and then these opportunities come up.
Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
Yeah, I have to admit, sometimes I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and we sort of went through the whole all the stages of trading together, and we sort of looked at it thinking, God, if you look back on the last 10 years, it does feel kind of crazy, all the sort of hoops you jump through and all the things. Like, there's a lot of luck involved sometimes, but I think one of the main unique challenges of this industry is that it's hard for someone to, a bit like Janine, to let go of where you are currently and then decide to jump in, because it does feel like you're just jumping in a big cavern and it never stops. You never stop falling sometimes, but
but I think
it can be very
the
daunting.
magic to it is now there's people like you, and people like me, that are giving a little bit of access, right? I think by and large, my listener base are guys and gals that are interested in learning how to fly. It could be second career folks. It could be younger people. And now they have these resources. And it's crazy to say, back in my day, 2007 or whatever, there wasn't any resources, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe YouTube was around. I certainly wasn't on it. I wasn't understanding it.
No, it was very different.
And so it was hard to find information. So have people reached out to you and kind of told you guys that you've been the help or the inspiration that they needed to get into the career?
Yeah, I think both of us have. We get emails every week of people asking questions, but also saying, "Oh, thank you for taking the time." I mean, we try and put a conscious effort, don't we, into taking time to help other people. We've certainly received a lot on towards us over the years, and we're just trying to, return the favor in many ways. I think it's so important to. In fact, we just posted about that. I think it's so important that it can take, even if it's a 2-minute conversation, to show someone what you do and how you do it and why you do it, and taking that time to help someone or show someone, what it's like. It can be that little fork in the road for many people, and I've certainly had the benefit of that in my last sort of 15 years getting here, and we take time constantly to help others with it. We try.
And that's incredible, and it's hard too, right? You put yourselves out there.
Yeah.
You guys are doing good things. There's a lot of inbound. You guys are also full-time pilots.
Yeah.
You're living other lives as well. So I'm sure it gets very busy. So let's use this platform a little bit to talk about training specific to Europe. Did you guys both train in Europe?
Yeah. So I trained in the UK, so did Janine. I think there's quite a few differences with the US, both on the helicopter front and the European front.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested, because kind of my understanding is the funny part is when I went to flight school, I was like the minority. Most of my fellow students were actually from Europe.
Oh,
at that time, a lot of Norwegian. Not so much Norwegian now, I'm hearing. But I mean, it was German, Austrian, Norwegian. And then I was like the American guy, but it was
You're that guy.
I was that guy. Yeah, America. And so it was interesting. But you guys didn't do that. You didn't come across the pond. So talk to me a little bit about what the pathway looks like on, hey, I want to be a helicopter pilot. I want to do it here in Europe, or I want to do it in the UK. Yeah. How do I do it?
I mean, we did it in slightly different ways as well.
Yeah.
Because Jop moved from the Netherlands to the UK.
Okay.
And at the time, there's 2 routes to helicopter training. Modular, which is what I did, because I was working around Korea, so I could do it almost in pieces as I went. You did the modular route, but more of an integrated way. So you can do it in modular or integrated. You kind of did it. You clumped it all together and kind of did it in an integrated way, didn't you? As quick as you can.
Yeah, it's just full time, everything.
So I did my PPL, then my exams, then my CPL, then my FI. You did the same route, but just in a more condensed period of time, didn't you? And now there are integrated programs where you can do that together and a bit more cost effective.
Yeah, I think that's a bit more common in the US, isn't it? I don't know what Canada is like, but compared to Europe at least, there's a few integrated courses around, and it depends a little bit on what you want and how you want to go about it. But if you have the funds and the time to go like 0 to hero in the shortest time possible, integrated is probably the way to go. But from my perspective, I think what's interesting also is that compared to in Europe, especially when it comes to the airlines, there's a big difference with the US, where you have the 1,500-hour rule and a lot more barriers in place to become an airline pilot. In Europe, that's so easy, or not easy, but like much more streamlined to be able to do that. That kind of puts the helicopter option on the back foot a little bit, because you almost have that more of a, you know, jumping in the deep feeling compared to going to a big flight school and saying, right, just, you know, show up at this time, do this exam at this date, and just as long as you're performing well, people around you have structured a system for you that you'll be okay. But with helicopters, it's a little bit more, you know, networking. That word made me vomit 10 years ago, but it's, you know, it's part of it, and all the other hoops you have to jump through. And sometimes it can be a bit of a, you know, you feel like you're by yourself and on your own a little bit compared to these big flight schools.
I think that helicopters are kind of like the redheaded stepchild
Yeah, exactly. It's
like
true.
Aviation.
It's true.
I was actually talking about that recently with mechanics. I had a maintenance professional. You guys probably call them engineers, and in the States we call them mechanics.
Okay,
but engineers, mechanics,
yeah.
AMPs, IAs, backbone of what we do, right?
Yeah.
We break things, they fix it.
Absolutely,
You know,
we break a lot of things.
we need them.
Yeah, we do.
And it's fascinating. I've been in the industry long enough and know a lot of really good engineers. And none of them really actually sought out helicopters, right? They go to their school, and when they're learning how to work on aircraft, they're working on airplanes. And then there's like one day where they're like, oh, that's a helicopter. Okay, back to the airplane, right? And so, you know, it's like, it's so airplane specific, at least in the States.
Yeah.
That's same with us.
And then the airlines, they pay well, there's better opportunity, benefits, whatever it might be. So even a lot of our aviation maintenance professionals are not going into the career thinking helicopters. They just kind of accidentally bump into it. And, okay, so what's happening now? We have a shortage of aviation maintenance professionals. And I think we're actually kind of going now towards a shortage of helicopter pilots, which is,
I think so.
You know, really a crazy, bizarre thing.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of this when it comes to accessibility. It's just a bit of a puzzle to fix and solve, really, to get more people in, isn't it? Yeah, so we've talked about ways to get more talent in, but it's not. You can talk about so many different avenues in which you can make that happen, but it's not an easy fix, especially if there's alternatives for people who just say, you know, I'm not specifically looking for fixed wing or rotary, I just want to be a pilot. We're playing a hard game here to try and get those people, you know, high quality talent into the specifically the helicopter industry, in my opinion.
And I don't know how it is here, but in the United States, okay, you go through training. That's your first hurdle, right? Congratulations, you figured it out.
Well done,
You become a certified flight instructor.
Yeah.
And at that time, then you go and teach. When I was teaching, I was getting paid, I think, $14 an hour. Right?
So
similar with us, to be honest.
And I actually remember driving home from work one night on my way to go deliver pizza, because that's what I would do in the evening to make ends meet. Thinking, I need to put gas in my car. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay my cell phone bill. And there was my moment of like, I'm poor.
we all
were. Oh my God.
We feel you.
I'm broke. Right?
Absolutely.
And literally, I mean, to this day, I can remember exactly where I was on Highway 26, driving back home and having that moment. So, yes, you have that first hurdle training. But then after, it's still not a very easy road.
No.
For me, I was a CFI for a long time. I never made a lot of money. And then I had to kind of go find odd jobs here and there. And then I flew tours in Vegas, made okay money. Then I'm flying air medical. I was actually then making less money.
Yeah.
And then I did tours.
Yeah.
And that was a turnoff, right? I mean, it's kind of like, man, as an industry, we have to do better.
Yeah.
And if you look at the airplane industry, you know, yes, you have to be a flight instructor, but man, you get your hours, and then you're flying an airliner, right? And you're getting some benefits, and you're getting a decent salary. Now, your life-work balance isn't great in the beginning, but there's a path, right?
Yes, that's the
and
thing.
it's that
That's
specific
the
thing that we talk about
And I
as
feel
well,
like
the actual
this
path to get there.
helicopter path is like,
Yeah.
So, you know, what I guess in Europe, what is it like? Is that path very similar, kind of discombobulated?
It's, in general, yeah. I mean, for us, and we've looking at this, one of the single biggest barriers is getting your instrument rating.
Okay.
So there's kind of a bit of a path through the training, your PPL, your CPL, your FI, get your hours up. But a lot of jobs now, offshore, even HEMS, they're asking for instrument ratings.
Yep.
First
And
officers, captains, doesn't matter.
We recently looked at it, and it was like a 100,000 euros or something, wasn't it? Like crazy numbers to get that
it's
job.
a little bit worrying. I don't know how that works for you guys
Wow.
in Canada or in the US,
to get
but
just the instrument rating.
yeah.
100. Wow.
So we did a.
That was my entire training. Less
exactly.
about
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the last sort of 6 years, the price has gone up anywhere between 50 to 80 to sometimes even 100% in just the instrument rating. And when you look at, you know, I completely understand if you're 16 years old, 17 years old, and you're asking, you know, what can I do with my career, and you show to mum and dad what your plan is, and it's like, oh, I can either do X or I can do Y, and it's like, you know, this is going to be like almost twice the expense, and it's going to be like you said, it's going to be
200,000.
It's going to be doing DoorDash in my spare time, you know,
Yeah.
like it's a harder sell, and I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Some companies now are starting to realise it and doing cadet programs, and I was very fortunate. I was similar to you, done all that. I was an FI thinking, oh my word, how do I pay the bills? And I was very fortunate that my first company that I went to offshore with sponsored my instrument rating. So they paid for it up front, and then I basically paid it back as I worked, which is amazing because it takes that risk, that stress.
Yeah,
and
of course.
And then you're flying, so you're not bothered if you're paying a bit off.
Yeah.
So that's a really good way to help, but that's few and far between.
And it's so rare. Yeah.
I guess I just don't even understand, though. Why is it? I mean, in the United States, the instrument rating is
multi-engine. So you do most of them ask for multi-engine instrument ratings.
Yeah, because you're doing it in a big helicopter.
Yeah. We do have single-engine IRs, but there's a change incoming as well. I've been told by Thierry at our work at the moment that said that if you now have a single-engine IR, which used to be a slightly more cost-efficient way of doing it, that will now also require additional qualifications as an examiner as well to then convert that on. So if you have a single engine IR as an applicant, the companies will start looking at that slightly different in Europe now, or at least the UK, when it comes to converting that as well. And it's just so expensive. So you know, I don't know what it was like for you, Halsey, but I had students of mine as well that I've gone through the ropes with, and it showed me also that some really, really good, talented people, they were just running into the wall with finances, and you know, I still look back at it sometimes thinking, you know, if finances and if some of these barriers were more, you know, thought about in a more efficient way, you'd have more talent in this industry than we currently do. And we haven't really figured out.
Squared that circle.
We're spending a lot of time figuring it out, but we are not quite there yet.
I mean, you would hope with, you know, European Rotors here, to me, is always a great event.
Yes, yeah.
There seems to be a lot going on. And it seems like there's a lot of support in the European rotor world, at least when you come to this show, which seems pretty cool. And this is hopefully a right step in the right direction. You know, for us in the United States, you know, there's, of course, your instrument rating. When I started flying, it was a new thing where, you know, most helicopter jobs, of course, are VFR, but they were starting to require an instrument rating. So it was kind of like you just do it. But we intertangle it with our commercial. And so you do your commercial and your instrument at the same time because you need the hours anyway. And we're doing it likely in an R22, maybe an R44. Yeah. And it's not costing really. I mean, it's almost like the instrument is absorbed in your commercial cost anyway.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really good.
And, you know, it's nice. Now, that being said, our proficiency is not great. Right, a leading cause of helicopter accidents, at least in the United States, is inadvertent entry into IMC
it is,
and not knowing how to react and do it appropriately. I can 100% feel that. I flew VFR helicopters my entire helicopter career. I went to air medical. I was still in a VFR single-engine program. I flew in a 407. But as a company, they were really big on inadvertent IMC.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was so fun to go into their simulators and knock off that rust of, like, how do I do this? Right? Because it's one thing to have an instrument rating.
Yeah, because that's the next conversation, isn't it?
It's another thing to actually go in the clouds.
Right?
The pressure, the the scariness, my entire career I was told to stay out of the clouds. And even at that program, I was still stay out of the clouds. But it was neat. And actually, that specific operator had about 10 inadvertent entries every single year. And it wasn't bad pilot decision making. There's an operations control center, right? There's all these stop gaps, but things happen, right? Weather changes quickly. You can't always forecast. You're flying in very remote areas, and so things happen. And the fact that we had up to 10 every single year without any incident is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, right? Exactly
and
that.
We were doing quarterly training. We had to do the sim trading. And so, for me, the instrument was very easy. It wasn't certainly a hurdle.
Okay.
So it sounds like
That's
Europe needs to...
This is for those that are ready to launch their helicopter career training. Hillsborough Heli Academy, the place where pilots from around the world begin their journey. With a real-world experience and a reputation that speaks for itself, visit flyhaa.com because it's different here.
The instrument rating is the hardest thing I've ever done. I
People
think.
always joke that once you pass that, you're still in the early stages of your career. You think, God, that line is being very steep going upwards. But people used to tell me as well. I think you as well. With this is the hardest thing you're going to do, and after that, it's just a easy ride after. But other than finding a job, of course. But
it's that's kind of unfortunate. I really hope that Europe can kind of maybe rethink that. The
conversations are happening, I think, which is exactly what you're saying. People like here, people that are passionate about helicopters, I think that it's starting to be seen, and that's the first steps, isn't it? And that's things we try and do.
Yeah.
Have that conversation.
Yeah.
Here's some really passionate, great people. How do we help them to come into this ace industry?
Yeah.
So and we need good people,
exactly.
Right? I mean, we don't want people to feel like they're not welcome because they can't afford it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And even in the United States, it's very frustrating because, for me, I had great parents, very supportive. They're not wealthy people, right? And so there wasn't any way that they could support helicopter school.
Yeah.
There wasn't a thing, right? And if you go to, say, a university, it's very easy. You go online, type in a couple of things, boom, you got $50,000, from the federal government on a low interest rate. It's a government subsidized loan. It's very easy. Well, helicopters, you have to go
by yourself.
Private lender
scary.
route.
So scary.
The interest rates are stupid. There's no flexibility in repayment. I signed that loan document at 19 years old or whatever.
It's crazy, isn't it? Looking back at it.
That hurt, right? My training cost like $87. I probably paid $160.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or more.
Well, you got living costs and everything else while you do it, right?
And I defaulted. I defaulted on my loan for like 3 years because then again, I'm driving home thinking I'm poor. How am I going to pay $800 a month now for this student debt, right? And so that hurt. Now, we have a credit system. I think Europe doesn't do like the credit score thing.
The UK does. Europe less so. I mean, we have it in some way, but but how did that work? How does that work for you guys now then across the pond when it comes to?
Oh, it was wrecked.
Yeah.
I mean, my credit score was like as low as it can be, and at that point, you can't do anything. You can't buy a car, right? So the first car that I went to buy was through a friend who owned a dealership. And even his best thing that he could offer me was a car with a 17% interest rate.
Oh, God.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
You can't buy a house. You can't even get an apartment, right? You can't lease an apartment because you're not a credible source, right? And so it was very difficult.
But it's just bridging that gap, though, isn't it? Because you go from that, where everything is like really, really tough, and your life, basically your whole life revolves around trying to make this happen. But then once you're there, to be fair, right? Like once you get there and once you get experience and everything else, life's amazing for it now. But it's just bridging that gap, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we're.
And how do you get there?
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that we could do better in the States. We could do better over here in Europe.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's people like you, people like me, anyone else that's doing positive influencing in the industry and championing, like being a champion, right? And supporting people, I think will hopefully start making this a more accessible career path.
Yeah.
Because it is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, right?
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. Like it is very, very awesome. And it's a shame sometimes to see there's such a lack of information out there online. Like, if you want to find out what it's like to be any other pilot, like a plane pilot or airline pilot, there's so much information and like video content and everything else out there to inspire people. And we've definitely found a gap with that with us, didn't we? Like we were trying to, when I was in HEMS, I've asked many times if I can, show some content to other people, and pictures were usually okay. But when it comes to film and other material, to put it out there to show people, look, this is what it's like. All good intended, but you can imagine that a lot of companies are uncomfortable with that because it's just liability for
it's no liability.
So that's another thing I think as well. That if you want to get more people, we're trying to get more people to really want to join this industry, and that's not easy if you can't share things with them and show what it's like.
And the shame is it's the best content.
Yeah.
Helicopters are awesome.
Yeah. If you filmed your average sort of like when you were in EMS, when you filmed if you were to film your average sort of mission, there'd be a lot of interesting discussion points and showing people what it's like. It'd be awesome, right? But there's just as far as I'm aware, it's very, very rare to find companies who are okay with that, and it's just not quite the same as the airlines where that's very widely available.
Yeah, it's very locked in.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are very reserved and wanting to do that.
Yeah.
I think there's some old school, maybe as younger people are getting involved, and then those younger people then transition into, executive roles or management roles. They might be more open.
Yeah, I think so. I think it will change.
Of a willingness. Yeah. I mean, you look at social media, it's kind of a dark hole sometimes, but something that's great about it is that you can share content, right? You can truly show a day in the life. I talk about this. Janine, I'm guessing that just by you being a voice for the industry, there's probably now little girls that are like, oh, shoot, I didn't even know I could do that.
I hope so. That would be lovely,
right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat, right? I have some friends that are, Lee Coates is a good example. She's a lady pilot. She has this big following on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible because now little kids, boys or girls, can now see, oh, my God, this person's doing this amazing thing. What a career. And that can hopefully ignite something. So I think that you guys are on the right path. I think that
I like to think so. You never know for sure, do you? But
you're doing something.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
that's it.
You're not just sitting idle.
Yeah.
No.
And again, you guys are busy, right? I mean, you have full-time careers.
Much,
Let's talk a little bit about that, Janine. What are you flying right now? What is your schedule like? Just kind of give me the skinny.
So very recently, actually, we've finally come together so we're on the same roster in the same place, literally as of about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I used to fly the S92.
Really cool.
I now fly Jop's favourite helicopter, the 169. So I'm flying offshore off the west coast of England to the rigs over there.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we basically lived long distance for many, many years because of the way that, as we just talked about the rosters. And I used to do 2 days, 2 nights, 4 off as a HEMS pilot. Janine used to do 12 days on, 16 off, and we saw each other like 7 days a month or something like that. But
that's
now,
tough.
It can be, yeah. And now we are on a shared sort of 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off roster, and we're both offshore pilots now.
Yeah. And you're on the same 2 on?
Yeah. So it's completely changed our lives. Yeah, that is.
Do you guys see each other at work?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Are you guys? I'm getting it's dual pilot, so PIC. There's an SIC. Are you guys both captain?
No, so I was a captain in HEMS, and now because I don't know anything about offshore, Janine can teach me a lot about this stuff, about offshore flying and everything else. Because I'm not from that background at all. Janine has done it for 5 years, so she is currently doing a command training.
Yeah, awesome.
And I'm the first officer now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Will you fly together?
That's a good question. Yeah, but there is an option there. We don't know quite for sure.
It's quite a small base.
How's that going to go?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, relationships are hard enough.
No, I think we've talked about it a few times, and I think we're both professional enough to leave home at home, because that's usually the first what people talk about straight away.
Yeah.
But I think that won't be an issue for us, really.
Man, I think that would be really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to follow up on that. That would be fun content.
Yeah, next year we'll give you an update next year if we're still hired.
So you guys are flying offshore to 2 on, 2 off, which is a great schedule.
Amazing. Yeah.
Walk me through just a little bit like the day in the life, get out of bed, get ready, and you go. What does it look like?
Get in, look at your weather and your NOTAMs, plan your route, and decide your fuels if you need alternates. Once you've done all that, you can get your load, see how much passengers you can take. Then you go off, put on your sexy immersion suit, nice and orange, and your life jackets. Have a final crew brief. And then while this is happening, your passengers will be going through the lounges, having their briefs for the offshore safety and putting all their safety survival suits on. And then you'll have your set of flights. So it could be 2, 3, 4, 5. You're quite short sectors we do, but lots of hopping in where we work now.
Very different than what you were used to.
I used to do long sectors, sometimes 200 miles off the coast, 1 or 2 rigs and then back again. Now, one of the rigs we can see from the coast, can't we? So it's like 10, 15 minutes, but lots of different hops. And then you'd fly.
I think I would prefer that. Right, because
it's more handling.
Yeah. Once you're straight level, especially in a 169, you're kind of just monitoring. So taking off, approaching, landing. To me, there's nothing more magical. There's my top 2 favorite things of flying a helicopter is picking it up. I love picking a helicopter up in a hover. It's just like, oh my God, and then setting up for an approach.
Yeah.
And then just flying the perfect approach. Yeah. It's a magical moment. Now, is it a 12-hour shift then?
That's what I used to do. So I used to do in HEMS in most of Europe and the UK. It's all 12-hour shifts, 7 to 7. But now it's early and late, isn't it?
It all depends on the schedule. How many
many
flights are on that day? It can be up to 12 hours duty, but I rarely do. You don't do 12 hours flying.
No. So it's very different for me now as well, going from HEMS to offshore with like the different ways of flying, but also the different ways of like your roster and everything else is completely different.
With HEMS here, are you guys doing night ops?
Yeah. So we used to do day, night, and then 4 off, and with night vision goggles and everything else. Sure. It was a lot of fun. It was. I really enjoyed it.
When I was HEMS, we were 7 on, 7 off.
Okay, all right.
And every other 7 was nights.
Okay.
That was rough for me.
How'd you deal with it?
Yeah. I didn't. I didn't love it. That was actually a big factor of. It was again another sad moment, right? My first sad moment is flying that 152 and feeling bored.
Oh yeah.
And my second sad moment is I always wanted to. Once I started flying helicopters, I wanted to fly air medical.
Yeah.
I thought that would be just the coolest thing, right? Incredible. And I show up, I'm fired up, I'm having a good time. My first impression was my opposite pilot, older guy, been doing it for a long time, not very friendly.
Yeah.
And then I meet the next guy, and it's an older guy, not very friendly.
The old grumpy man.
And a couple weeks goes by, they put me on my first night hitch.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it was my 4th night in a row of being out from about 10 to about 4. I was like, okay, I get it. I see why that guy's grumpy. This is awful. And we were talking before the podcast. Yeah. I'm a routine person. So even coming over here, I love the idea of traveling. I like being there. I like exploring. My body does not like traveling. Last night I'm like so tired.
Yeah.
I'm like just exhausted. Yet I just lay there. Yeah. I'm just laying there.
Yeah, well, I think that's very relatable for me. For her, not. But
and
for
that's
me,
how I felt in air medical. There would be nights where the tone wouldn't go off, and I just laid there like this. So it was very difficult for me to sleep during the day.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.
Yeah, we had the similar issues. I used to fly in the southeast from a base called Red Hill, which is sort of sandwiched between Gatwick, Heathrow, Farnborough, like lots and lots of airspace. And it's just this weird thing of, the alarm goes 2 a.m., 3 a.m. or something. You go from like controlled rest and sort of just chilling to, being over at Gatwick, doing overhead transits and talking to police, talking to this people, talking to these people. And it can be, from 0 to like, adrenaline and go. Yeah. Certainly something that if you do it, I can't imagine doing it 7 nights in a row. That must be quite rough. Because I had the luxury of a captain next to me or a first officer next to me. I can't imagine what that's like single pilot.
Yeah, that's a big.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a turn, and that began to kind of be a bit of a turn off for me. Admittedly, I wanted to start a family. I thought, hey, look, am I comfortable flying a single engine helicopter into very dark places?
Yeah.
We had NVG as well, but you're in the middle of nowhere landing in a scene call, and the volunteer fire department's like, there's no wires. Yeah. And then you're like, What about the one that you're
Yeah, what
under?
about the one I'm seeing right now?
Because I can see it. Right? Look. Oh yeah. Well, I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so.
Did you guys get any time to pre-plan? As in, when the alarm goes, do you get
7 minutes?
7 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's basically run outside
Our
and
launch
start.
time was
okay.
so. Essentially, what we would do is we would get in for the day or the night, go get the helicopter ready, get it all set, and it was mission ready. We knew our weights. We had a general idea of our weather, right, for the region.
Yeah.
So the tone goes off. They tell you about it, where you're going. You go and do a quick weather check. As long as the weather's good, you say, I can accept.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're out the door.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's very quick.
Interesting. Yeah. So we got. I don't know how it works in most of Europe. In the UK, we get a little bit of time to prep at night because we have to pre-plan our field at night. It's just the regulatory system. So you always got that little bit of a transition of from not so awake to wake and having to be awake.
I could be like sleeping and
but
7
you could
minutes
literally,
later
yeah,
I'm like, oh
yeah.
God,
Yeah, that is
what am I
insane.
doing?
Yeah. Where are we going, guys? Yeah.
So that was hard for me.
Yeah.
That was very difficult.
How did you find that your colleagues had like tips and tricks and everything else? Were there people who were just fully in tune with it? Because for us, I mean, I've asked countless of people over the years, what do you do with this? How do you deal with that? And we've written loads about it, fatigue management and everything else. But everyone seems to have their own different sort of ways of getting around it.
I think it's so dependent, right? My buddy Ian right there, he works with me. He's in the red coat.
Yeah.
That guy, he can sleep anywhere.
That's me.
Right?
Yeah.
He gets on an airplane, he's like, I'll get the lay flat coming over here, and I'll just lay there. Right? I can have the nicest seat on the airplane.
The things I would do to get that, like, oh man.
And I can't sleep, right? Meanwhile, he's back in economy.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine, I can put him upside down in the back of the car, and then within 2 seconds he can be aslead, but I wish I could.
So Ian, he flew air medical too, and it was easy for him, right? It was just it was an easier thing because if he wasn't going, he was able to sleep and get that rest. If it was daytime, he was able to sleep and get that rest. And I think I don't know if there's like a magic pill. I think it's like this just very human specific, right?
I think you're right.
I get sick a lot. My wife, I've never seen her sick. We've been together for, 11 plus years. Never get sick. I literally have never seen her sick. I'm sick like 14 times a year.
Does she think you're a big crybaby? Or?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely like the king of the man cold for sure. So it's just like I think it just has to kind of go down. Now I think there's tips and tricks, right? I think there's ways to navigate and mitigate. I think it would be a great continued conversation for the industry to figure out how to do better, because you do see pilots and crew.
Yeah.
Man, by the time they're 40, 45, I mean, they're a little beat up, right? They're eating meals at 3 a.m. They're tired, they're sleeping, they're awake, they're sleeping, they're awake. And I think that's actually a really challenging part about air medical.
Yeah. Staying fit.
Staying fit.
Yeah, I mean, you had your challenge with offshore as well with that, right? When it comes to the food, the food the rig would give
but
you,
also
like
sitting like this with all your heavy gear for 8 hours, like sedentary lifestyles are not good. Yeah.
No, it's not good at all,
there's
right?
lots of,
Yeah, and for me personally, my mental health is connected to what I'm eating and my physical activity, right? So we just had a baby in June. Awesome, my routine changed. Not good.
Yeah,
no. Do well. Meanwhile, my wife, everyone's like, how's the postpartum for your wife? I'm like, it's me.
What about me?
I'm having a hard time. And she's just a rock, right? And,
that's awesome, though, for her.
But I stopped exercising for like the first 8 weeks.
Okay,
the baby was waking up all the time. That's my advice for new parents, by the way. Don't try to be a hero, right? Like, go in schedules. Like, at first, my wife and I were both getting up. Not necessary. Like, so then we figured out, okay, we can do schedules. So I'm going to start the first turn. You take the late shift. No. I was still working, in fairness.
You
right?
take all the late shifts.
She did, and then we're very lucky. Now the baby just sleeps, so we're like, it's an easier thing. But I don't remember my thought of where I was actually going.
We were talking about staying fit. Like,
so I stopped exercising.
Yeah, no.
And what happens? Mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important.
But it is hard because when you did your previous job, you were strapped into an S92 for 7-8 hours a day, and then the food you'd be given, all the guys and girls around you eat twice the size after 5 years because you eat bad and you eat poorly and you don't move. And it's the same in HEMS. We'd come back from a mission at 4 a.m. and the first people to do is go in the kitchen. There's always 60,000 chocolates everywhere, and people just like ramp up on everything they say.
Yeah,
and it's just,
and I think
terrible.
that there's biological factors where where your body's all confused because it's the middle of the night, and it's like, okay, sugar, do that.
Grab
seems
it.
like a good idea right now for this immediate kind of kick. So, it's I think it's a plague. I think it's a part of the industry that's like, we all know. I used to think I was alone, right?
No, you're not.
And then we start talking to people. You get people like him who can sleep and do it. But by and large, I'm not alone. I think that's so many people. I was fortunate that I found a way out, right? Because that was a scary part. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like where I want to be, and I hate it. I don't like the schedule, And so for me, I was lucky to be able to kind of, get out of it. But what's next for you guys? What can we expect from Pilots Who Ask Why?
Me?
Yeah.
Any inside, any exclusive?
What exciting things are we doing next?
Too many to count. Like the main thing for this year that we're going to focus on is taking large accident reports that are for the average pilot, including ourselves sometimes. It's too much. 600 pages sometimes with really, really interesting information. And they just gather dust because it's not very well presented. It's not easy to digest.
Yeah.
And we really want to double down, don't we, on making that more accessible. So when we see learning points from certain accidents, especially in certain more complicated stories, like we had, things like Rescue 116, like SAR crashes, or things where multiple things happened that lined up to get to, which is usually the case. But some reports are just way too big. And we're going to double down on making that really, really easy to learn from as an industry.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I think the industry needs to accept more of that too. There's a growing. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's some guys on YouTube that actually do a great job.
Oh, some really good stuff.
Breaking
good
down.
Stuff. Yeah.
And yet they still get a lot of hate from the
aviation
community. As backseat quarterback or whatever the feedback might be. But for me, when I was in helicopter flight school, all we talked about was accidents, right? That's the best way to learn.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
I want to do exactly opposite of what caused that accident. And what you find is, yes, sometimes the helicopter can maybe just have a really bad day. Your rotor separates. There's things that are just bad luck, right? Nothing you can really do, right? I'm sure there's still something to learn, the maintenance or whatever it might be. But so many of accidents started the morning of the accident. And then something happened, and that kind of continues, right? They call it the Swiss cheese. I've never liked kind of like the Swiss cheese idea. I don't know. It seems a weird thing. But it's like this event, right? And so I feel like that's a great initiative of breaking it down. Because I think that's how we learn, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, how can we all be safer? I think we should learn from the mistakes.
Yeah, and it sounds cliche, but nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, "Oh, let me go and crash a helicopter into a mountain ridge," right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to stay in touch with that, where it could be any of us.
Oftentimes, it's really good pilots that crash helicopters, and good decision makers, good pilots. Occasionally you hear about the guy that was maybe not the best decision maker or doing something stupid, but by and large, I mean, we are all susceptible, right?
Absolutely.
To making a mistake, a lapse in judgment. We're all human, so that's where it kind of gets complicated. Well, I'm very excited to kind of check that out. For our listeners, where can they find you guys?
Okay, our website is pilotswhoaskwhy.com. We're also on LinkedIn, but mainly through our website. If you go there, we've got our details, have a read of the articles. We love to hear what people also want to hear as well. So if you want to say, we've had some questions or thoughts around this, let us know. We're quite interested what other people are talking and listening to.
Yeah, we take a lot of feedback. We publish twice a month, every other Monday. And yeah, like Janine said, we're very trying to be as receptive as possible to what people are interested in. We're trying to add as much value to, as far as we can, add value to the industry and help people as best we can. So that's the aim.
And now connected with MHM, right? You guys are doing some
we are.
collaboration
We're very excited.
together, and you're posting And
Absolutely,
that's really good. I know Mike is very excited.
So are we. So are we. We're
Awesome.
honored to be involved.
Well, I think that you guys are incredible people.
Thank you very much.
I think that you guys are doing an incredible thing for the industry. I'm feeling lucky and blessed to be able to have this conversation with you guys.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
having
you for
us.
taking care of
I know
us.
you guys are very busy. You did great.
Thank you.
It's easy, right? Yeah. It's what I was telling John before. I'm like, oh man, I get kind of stressed. I've been doing this for a long time, but the in-person is different.
Yeah.
And you don't want to mess it up for people, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be a good,
I get it.
good show, but then
Yeah.
it's just like you just have these conversations. It's so natural.
Yeah.
It's helicopter people talking about helicopter stuff. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Helicopter Podcast. It's you listening that allows me this opportunity to be in Cologne, Germany, chatting with you guys and having a great time. We appreciate you all listening. Check us out on the next Helicopter Podcast, and make sure you check out these two with pilots who ask why. Hey, thanks again, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Please stay tuned for a final word from our sponsors.
Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
This is for those that are ready to launch their helicopter career training. Hillsborough Heli Academy, the place where pilots from around the world begin their journey. With a real-world experience and a reputation that speaks for itself, visit flyhaa.com because it's different here.
Thank you to our sponsor, Precision Aviation Group. Mission-critical operators and fleet managers rely on Precision Aviation Group as a worldwide leading rotor and fixed-wing MRO provider. PAG provides tip-to-tail solutions in 4 MRO segments: avionics, components, engines, and manufacturing DER services. A single point of contact gives you access to over 150 million in inventory globally, 24/7. Just call 800-537-2778. Precision Aviation Group. Others sell parts. We sell support.